Hello children, shall we continue with the lesson? Yes, please get ready with your ebooks as well. And we are in paragraph 9, page number 58. We need to continue. Before we continue, we can just go ahead with a quick recap, children. So in the last module, we have just come across the way he had to really face this dreadful situation where he had to see the snake's hood very close to his head, and how he was just planning to get out of the thing, and who had to rescue him. There was no other source, so he only prayed the God to come and rescue him, that too in the heart, because he could not utter out anything. If he utters out, or if he takes in the breath a little forcefully also, it gives a chance for the snake to identify that there is a person to whom it got revealed to. So he did not want to give that kind of a chance to the snake anymore. So then now let us see that what happens further. So please have your running notes also, children. So 9th paragraph, let's continue. It seemed as if God appreciated that. The snake turned its head, it looked into the mirror and saw its reflection. So see children, like always elders, they suggest us, elders, even our judiciary system, our Indian judiciary system also says that if the culprit admits his own mistake, there is a chance of reduction in the punishment given also. Of course, that is our Indian law says so. So similarly here, the doctor has admitted himself as a foolish and a stupid doctor to the God. He calls himself as a foolish and stupid doctor because he hadn't kept any of the medicines with him, though he runs a clinic, homeopathy clinic. So maybe he says that maybe God might have heard my words, because he called the God by writing his name in the heart, oh God. Right children? So he says that I feel it seemed as if God appreciated my submission. As he had submitted and admitted, that he was a foolish and he was helpless, then God might have appreciated, God might have complimented, God might have liked his honesty. Then the snake turned its head, as of now, at the particular moment, the snake's hood was very close to the narrator. Then the moment when he submitted, when he has admitted that he was a foolish and a stupid doctor, then slowly the snake's hood turned the other side. As soon as it turned, what could it see? It could see the mirror. So what could it see in the mirror? It looked into the mirror and saw its own reflection. So the snake could see its own image, its own reflection in the mirror. It looked into the mirror and saw its reflection. I do not claim that it was the first snake that had ever looked into mirror. So he says that maybe it is, I am looking for the first time that one of the snakes is looking at its own reflection using the mirror. It might have been happened before also, but I feel this is damn interesting, as I have seen a snake looking at its own reflection using the mirror. But it was certain that the snake was looking into the mirror. But he says that I'm sure that it was looking at its own reflection without moving its hood. It was just continuously looking at the reflection of its own. Then he had a question in his mind, children. Very funny question, like like usually we don't do that, but he is doing this, something funny. Was it admiring its own beauty? He had a question. Why is the snake looking at its own reflection like that continuously? Why is it looking? Maybe was it admiring its own beauty? Because this is what he did when he was looking at it, like his own reflection by using the mirror before. That we have already learned. He did that before by looking at his own reflection. He wanted to groom further. He wanted to look much more handsome and all. Then he is just, making all the same qualities to be transferred to the snake, and he's saying that maybe it was admiring its own beauty. Was it trying to make an important decision about growing a mustache? So again another funny thing. Maybe like me, even snake also has got interest to grow the thin mustache. And using eyeshadow and a mascara. And also like mascara and eyeshadow and all, no? They are the ones which are used for the beautification of the eyelids and the eyebrows. So when they say that maybe it is wanting to use the shadow or the mascara to make it to look much more beautified. or wearing a vermilion spot on its forehead. So vermilion, please underline this, vermilion is nothing but it would be red in color, and it's made up of mercury and sulfur. So mercuric sulfide, it's a combination of mercury and sulfur, and it looks more or less our kumkum. So kumkum, we keep it for bindi na, kumkum. So like the same thing he's saying, that maybe it would like to make up its own self to look much more beautiful. So maybe it would like to apply mascara, or else it would like to make something to look much more beautiful about its own eyebrows, or else it would like to put kumkum. So vermilion is nothing but it's a mixture of mercury and sulfur. So mercuric sulfide it is called, which will be red in color. So maybe it would like to put as a bindi, as a spot. So these are all the things, they were all his own imagination. Once the snake started looking at his own reflection. But we all need to remember one thing, children. Still it did not relieve his hand. Still it was wriggled only. The only thing is hood, which was turning towards him, got only turned to the other side. Therein he was relaxed so much, and he was thinking all these things in his mind. Can any one of us do like this? Never. Let's see what happens further. I did not know anything for certain. What sex was this snake? Was it male or a female? So he was just thinking, because he was saying that maybe it would like to grow mustache, or else it would like to beautify its eyelids, or else it would like to put bindi. So then he was just thinking, maybe it is a male or a female, but it wants to look much more beautiful or handsome, because I really do not know its own gender, whether it belongs to male or female. I will never know, for the snake unwound itself from my arm and slowly slithered into my lap. So when he was talking to himself all these things internally in his brain, then what did the snake do? It started slithering. It released his hand and it started moving down, and it came to his laps. It has come and sat in his laps. From there it crept onto the table and moved towards the mirror. Then it did not stop for a while also. Then immediately it crept. As it crawls, snake crawls. The movement of the snake is called crawling. A young baby, before walking also, even the baby crawls, right children? So here the snake crept, past form of crawl. Right? It crept onto the table. Then what did it do? And moved towards the mirror. So as soon as it crept onto the table, immediately it moved to the mirror. Perhaps it wanted to enjoy its reflection at closer quarters. Maybe. This is narrator's imagination. Then narrator says that as it moved close to the mirror, maybe as it was wanting to look its own reflection in much more closer angle. So maybe very close, close up, it would like to have a glance at. I was no mere image cut in granite. So please underline this phrase, children. He is describing about his situation now. He is describing about his posture now. Until the snake moved away from his body, he was completely motionless. As already we learned, he was like a stone. He was like a statue. So now, no mere image cut in granite. Granite is the most hardest stones. You all know it. Then he was thinking that, oh my God, how hard I have become without any motion. Then I was suddenly a man of flesh and blood. So as soon as he could realize that the snake had crept away, and it crept to the table, and it was just looking at its own reflection in the mirror, then he realized that no more I am a stone. I have got flesh. I have got life in me. Then immediately what did he do? Still holding my breath, I got up from the chair. Still holding my breath. He did not take long breath in not to let the snake notice. Then he stood up from the chair. Then quietly went out through the door into the veranda. Then quietly, very quietly, like he did not run away, very quietly, without letting the snake notice his movement anymore. He just walked into the veranda, because already the door was kept open. From there I leapt into the yard and ran for all I was worth. Then here they tell us that the way he walked, as if he was taking part in the running race kind of a thing. Nobody could catch him, kind of speed he followed. Then immediately he ran away without thinking anything further. Each one of us heaved a sigh of relief. So this was all about whatever he's describing is a chat which he was having with his friends. He was just describing his past experience which he spent with a snake. That we all remember, right, children? So as soon as he told the story till here, then all the people, they just sighed with a great relief. Oh God, you are saved. Then somebody asked, Doctor, is your wife very fat? So see, there will be silly friends also, So one of the silly friends questioned that. Though he had completed story till here, they did not ask anything further about the snake. But one of them has asked, saying that because you wish to have a stout wife. Then is your wife a stout one? They just questioned. So even you would like to know whether he could marry a stout lady or not. He says, no, the doctor said, God willed otherwise. So man proposes and the God disposes. We all say that. It's a great saying, right, children? I thought of having my wife to be stout, but no, God did not like my wish. Maybe my love companion is a thin, reedy person. Thin, reedy in the sense like very thin and tall person. So my wife is very thin and tall person. With the gift of a sprinter, please underline, children, with the gift of a sprinter is none other than an athlete who runs as fast as he can or she can to win the running race. So he has all the qualities of an athlete. She is very thin, she is very tall, and she also runs very fast as if she is an athlete. So all whatever he thought of having the qualities to be in his wife, contrast all opposite qualities his wife possesses now. He was wanting his wife to be stout, but whereas she is so thin and tall also, and he did not want his wife to catch him, but now she is a great runner as well. Someone else asked, Doctor, when you ran, did the snake follow you? So now they come to the point. Fine, you said that you ran away from the snake as a snake was busy looking at its own reflection in the mirror. Did it follow you when you ran away? Then the doctor replied, I ran and ran till I reached a friend's house. So he said that no, I just continuously ran until I reached my friend's house. And immediately I smeared oil all over myself and took a bath. Then as you know, if at all we feel there is an insect or something which crawls on our body also, still we have that feeling, we'll get the goosebumps and all. Then what do we do? Immediately we feel like just taking a shower, right, children? So similarly even here, what did he do? Further to not to have any kind of effect on his body, then he applied oil, being so hastily, being in a hurry, very hasty, very messily, he just applied the oil here and there on his body. Then immediately he took bath. And then he changed himself into casuals. I changed into fresh clothes. The next morning at about 8:30, I took my friend and one or two others to my room to move my things from there. Then he decided to relocate himself to any of the other rooms. Then he just decided to vacate that room. No more he would like to reside there. So around the next day, 8:30 in the morning, he took his friends, one of his friends where he resided, and he spent his night. Along with him, he also took two more people so that they also could help him to move all the things, whatever he had to move to another place. But we found we had little to carry. So as soon as they reached, they could see very little and a few things in the room. Some thief had removed most of my things. Then he realized that there was a theft took place in his absence in the night. As he ran away without locking the door also, so there was a thief who had taken away all the things and all the belongings of him. The room had been cleaned off, so it was a clean sweep, you usually call it. There was nothing to really shift to any other place. So thief had taken away all the things, but not really. The thief had left behind one thing as a final insult. So he's calling this act as a final insult, children. See, funnily, he's calling this act of theft as final insult. No, he did not take all. Who? The thief hadn't taken all the things, but he left something which I feel it's a very, very, very insult. And what it was? What was that? I asked. So, friends, of course, they asked, no, what was that? Can you guess, children, what it could be? What could be the thing which the theft might have kept it? Might have just left there untouched? The doctor said, my vest. It was his waistcoat, the dirty one which wasn't washed since long, which was absolutely not maintained properly. Even the thief also did not want to touch it, and he left it as if it is untouchable. Then had such a sense of cleanliness. So he compliments, see children how funnily, like that's how humorous things, they add on interest to read such kind of stories. He says that maybe the thief has got a lot of consciousness about the cleanliness. He's very clean, maybe the thief. That's the reason he did not want to touch the dirty waistcoat. The rascal could have taken it and used it after washing it with soap and water. Instead of insulting me, he could have taken that waistcoat which was dirty and he could have washed it and he could have worn later. What is there? But only to insult me, he left the dirty coat to me. Then did you see the snake the next day, doctor? So somebody else questioned him. Could you see the snake next day or any other day? The doctor laughed. He bursted into laughter, the doctor, that is our narrator. I have never seen it since. It was a snake which was taken with its own beauty. So he comments that no, I did not see that snake anymore because it was completely immersed, admiring its own beauty as it looked at its own reflection using the mirror. He loved it. So he's a sporty person, children. Though he was so poor, he hardly had rupees 60 in his hands. So even that amount is lost. But even then it shows us, that he was sportive. So he has still the zeal and spirit to rebuild his career again. So of course, instead of as soon as we come across any loss, we need not to push ourselves into distress, and we can push ourselves, lift ourselves up, thinking that yes, always the good days are ahead. So this is what is the message conveyed by the doctor, taking everything sportive. I think all of you might have enjoyed the story, children. So try to visualize, and as I said, there is an animated stories they are available in the net. You can surf through and just watch them to have much more fun and enjoying. And maybe we shall discuss the questions, one or two. The value based is here. Page number 63, children, they just have given you an activity. 1 and 2, please try to attempt 1 and 2. They have just given you a picture of a monkey having a mask in its hand. So with the help of that, you will need to write a tale, and it should have an interesting climax. That's the activity. So as I said, children, he smiled feebly, and I said, and I asked you all to underline that word. You all remember that sentence, he smiled feebly. It has something to do with an activity once we end up the story, I said, right? So now you just try to look at this board, and I have given you the hints also. Is it seen? So there are two things. He smiled twice. First time when he was just looking at his mirror, he was very fond of looking at his own smile, and he felt himself that better he retained. He he will definitely continue smiling the same way to have the identity in the society, to grab the attention of the people, whatnot, because he was looking much more handsome as he was smiling, he felt. Second time, as soon as he looked at the snake and as soon as he admitted himself as a foolish and stupid doctor, then again he smiled feebly, like having no hope, very weak. Why? Because he lost hope of his own survival, and also how foolish and how stupid was he, because he was not ready with the medicines also. So there is a question, children, value based, they have given you in your textbook also, to compare both the situations. For the first time when he smiled, how and what sort of thoughts he had in his mind, and when he smiled next, when he has seen the snake very close, what could have been the thoughts lingering in his mind. Try to compare, and how would one feel in these both situations. This is what is a question given. So please try to attempt. And as I am serving you the worksheet of the same content, children, try to attempt all the questions. And I believe all of you might have enjoyed. So stay safe, stay home. This is Vijaya signing off. Let's meet in the next session. Bye bye.